Welcome. Our presentation, Going the Extra Mile, a call for critical language advocacy for the CCTE Fall Conference. I'm Ash Busby, adjunct professor at San José State University.
And my name is Eduardo Muñoz-Muñoz, an associate professor at San José State University and the director of the Stanford Language Project. Happy and proud to be here. We have a problem of practice regarding bilingual education in California. There's a tension between the fact that California has embraced ambitious multilingual education goals through California 2030, Global California 2030, but
given the compressed nature of credential programs, there's a challenge to prepare teachers with both the technical competence while also developing their critical consciousness to ensure transformative practice when in the field.
Why does this matter?
Given the historical context from Prop 227, which prohibited bilingual education in California from 1997 until its repeal in 2016, there remains a persistent shortage of bilingual teachers.
At the same time, after Proposition 58, we have what some has hailed as the bilingual renaissance, but can we have a renaissance without good teachers?
So as we work to ensure there is sufficient quantity of bilingual educators, it is also imperative to bring attention to quality, or otherwise said that we are developing transformative consciousness. Our grounding question is focusing on the development of teachers' critical language awareness and their advocacy dispositions. So we're asking, how can online bilingual teacher preparation develop critical language awareness and advocacy dispositions among teacher candidates?
For this, we have reviewed the literature, and our work is centered around a number of critical concepts. First, critical language awareness, a concept developed by Fairclough, which focuses on power relationships embodied through language. We also bring into the mix heteroglossic dialogism from Bakhtin, but also with the important notion of heteroglossia into it, which is multiple voices in knowledge construction. We also bring racial linguistics for consideration. Rosa and Flores tell us that language is inseparable from race and power, and they co-construct one another. This also is intimately connected to notions of hybridity and language fluidity through translanguaging. Garcia and others have taught us for the past decade about fluid multilingual practices, and we wonder, how does this influence our bilingual teacher preparation? We also think of linguistic ideological clarity as a step forward with regards to critical language awareness. Venegas, Weber, and Negrete tell us that language as identity, power, and social justice come together if bilingual teachers are to make a difference.
So our individual context is at San José State University, a California University bilingual teacher prep program, Bilingüismo y Justicia, where we teach 2 consecutive online courses as part of an overarching seminar series titled Advanced Issues in Bilingual Education, which is happening concurrent to students' field placements.
Our focus for these courses is policy agency and heteroglossic community building. What does it mean? What does this mean? It means that how are teachers also enacting policies, developing their own implicit policies in the classroom in a way that is conscious and also agentic in changing communities. And also we focus on how to develop a community, a professional community of bilingual teachers where heteroglossia is one of the foundational principles. We have a mixed method study. These are the methods that we employed, and we count on information from 165 teacher candidates between 2020 and 2024.
We had access to the course evaluation surveys from 101 participants with a participant rate of 61.2%, and we engaged with 2 focus groups with 10 program alumni.
Which also led to an analysis of this information, which we carried out with a 2-cycle coding methodology in a combination of codes that were generated by the literature and also that were emerging. So we were using both inductive and deductive coding.
So holding dual roles as both course instructors and researchers, we engaged in reflexivity based on our intersectional positionalities and identities. We enacted a translanguaging stance as a model and intentional rupture with academic language hierarchies, and engaged with critical dispositions towards language. So I, Ash Busby, am a white-bodied researcher and educator, so I believe that maintaining an allyship stance requires ongoing critical self-reflection. I strive in my courses to operate and in my research to operate with a disposition of humility and foster an environment that welcomes feedback while also explicitly acknowledging privilege when working across.
In my case, Eduardo Muñoz, I'm a European male originating from Spain, and this has a special bearing with regards to how I use language and what privileges come with the dialect that I speak and the way that I am perceived to be as a user of Spanish, together with the intersection with other identities such as being male, privileged, and middle class. So, what did we find? We found 5 key themes that we are going to follow now in our presentation. First, we saw the development of critical sociolinguistic awareness among candidates. The topic of policy analysis and community engagement was also very much present. There was identity transformation as expressed by the candidates, both during the time that they were in the courses, in the sequence of courses, and also after the courses while they were as classroom teachers. And then while doing so, they also had to navigate workplace micropolitics, which was an important aspect of what they felt that they needed to be prepared for. And then we also confronted, they were also in the situation of having to confront systemic conditions between the aspiration of systems that espouse beliefs of equity and what actually happens on the ground with limited resources and different ideologies in bilingual education. So first,
our first finding was critical sociolinguistic awareness, where teachers demonstrated that the course supported them in developing an intersectional lens when analyzing the sociocultural context of their placements. So Laura, a program alumni, describes the differences in resources and attitudes towards bilingual education between 2 programs where she worked post-graduation. The course's intentional layering of theory and practice provides space for Laura to recognize the political dimensions in education, analyze the disparate program implementation based on socioeconomic divides through critical reflection.
The second finding, policy analysis and community engagement. One of the important assignments in the course was the ELAC in the English Learner Advisory Committee, which the candidates had to attend to see how actual engagement was happening with parents. So Nancy reflected and brought up an important question that was guided by this experience. We want you to go and find this information. Do they have admission policies? Do they have these documents accessible in Spanish, Vietnamese? So she was asking herself whether these committees and the institutions as a whole were providing this level of accessibility and volunteering this information. So policy agency extended to special education intersections, family engagement strategies, and also accessibility audits, which is the essence of the assignment that they had to do with regards to ELAC.
So our third finding regarding identity, transformation, and resistance, Paula shares that the seminar supported her in adopting a translanguaging stance that when enacted in her classroom practice was the centering of her students' language practices, and that built trust and resisted perpetuating language hierarchies of quote-unquote pure Spanish.
With regards to finding number 4, navigating workplace micropolitics, teachers as de facto agentic policymakers was one of the guiding principles. For example, Juana thought, when we started wondering how we are serving our students and looking critically, the students were able to take a topic and think critically about their positioning. I have a lot of power into what is going to happen. That's how she was getting a sense of agency in terms of what was happening in her classroom. So that had to be counterbalanced with tensions in the workplace, particularly the situation where not everybody was having having similar ideologies or pro-bilingual stances led to them having to maintain advocacy work. They had to build coalitions with other co-workers in order to cement the foundations of bilingual education. And also, well, they were definitely enthused and stimulated to become transformers of educational spaces, and in this sense of the critical, the transformative nature of their vocation.
The course also supported candidates in navigating the tensions of the profession in regard to what we aspire to versus current conditions. So Juana names this gap between what she expected entering the field and the reality of her site, where she was pressured to teach without access to the necessary materials. In her words, you do this presentation where you say, when your children leave, they will be biliterate and bilingual in 2 languages. And then in my head, I'm like, where are the ELD books that by law you're supposed to provide to me so that I can have designated ELD for my students?
This leads to implications. What are the implications for bilingual teacher preparation? Well, critical integration through coursework is still pending. It's something that we need to continue pushing for, because the bilingual teacher preparation, the bilingual teacher performance expectations are simply a baseline. We need to go beyond.
It's also essential to intentionally build heteroglossic community where students are afforded the opportunity to use their full linguistic repertoires, further dismantling linguistic hierarchies.
Observe as well that one of our strategic architectural components was bringing together this course that was critical thinking in running in parallel to field placement. That's why we need to figure out, and different programs will need to figure out their strategy on how they are going to bridge theory and practice so that they are happening side by side and is facilitating the learning of future bilingual teachers.
So the coursework also developed teachers' policy agency in terms of enacting change at the policy level within their individualized context and further developing their awareness of policy and how to engage with that.
Coursework needs to address how bilingual education and being a bilingual teacher is an aspect of professional and also personal identity, and how are we going to develop the resilience of bilingual teachers with regards to the needs to navigate micropolitics and conflicts around resources against privileging certain options over others, which is part of our reality as public educators.
And again, in compressed teacher education programs, we need to balance the development of the teacher's critical consciousness alongside practical preparation, so that ensure we're moving beyond solely the technical preparation, so that we're developing teachers' critical consciousness.
And with this, we want to sincerely appreciate your time and your attention and your commitment to preparing the bilingual and also non-bilingual teachers, the best teachers that our California community deserve. With appreciation, Eduardo Muñoz-Muñoz, here at your service.
Ash Busby, it's been a pleasure.
Perfect. Done. Done.
Done.